Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Walks, Norwich City's third pre-season friendly here this evening against Kings Lynn Town on a pitch that looks slightly questionable. I think we'll word it like that. But the rain has started to fall here in West Norfolk, which is probably not what we expected given what we've seen weather-wise today. But Pad, let's jump straight into it because we have kind of some advanced team news, I suppose, before it officially drops. Certainly the back four, there's some interesting kind of omissions from the squad, but there's also some interesting inclusions, probably noticeably Andrew Omobamidele.
Yeah, I mean, we might be made to look stupid in a minute or two, but from what we can gather, it is Tim Krul back in. That's a welcome sign in terms of him. First time in pre-season, obviously we'll have seen him. Max Aarons, we believe, will start at right back. Grant Hanley, and yeah, as you say, Andrew Omobamidele, we thought we might see him in the final tour, or the only tour game as it turned out, in Germany on Saturday against Regensburg. They opted against that, but we're led to believe he starts tonight, so that's a massive boost given how important that guy could be for the months ahead, and then possibly Yanulis, I think, on the left hand side. So also hearing a little bit, maybe Sinani will feature and Zolis from the start, Pukki as well. So yeah, interesting. But one or two guys possibly out with knocks. Lise Malou, we're led to believe, nothing major. And Kieran Dowell, I don't think, is available as well. And obviously Isaac Hayden, as we know, hasn't played.
I will cut across you because I've got the team in front of me here. So this is how Norwich City line up. They've got Tim Krul in goal, Max Aarons, Andrew Omobamidele, Grant Hanley, and Dimitris Yanulis. As we brought you, Sorensen, McLean, and Sinani, the midfield three, with Scholes and Hernandez either side of Timu Pukki. The subs bench, of course, given it's a pre-season friendly, we'll see if there are few of these this evening. Probably, maybe even two separate 11s. It's McGovern, Mayer, Gibson, Zimmerman, Tompkinson, McCallum, Gibbs, Rashica, Campbell, Rose, Springett, Sargent and Hugo, which underlines the point of how big a squad Dean Smith has to play with, doesn't it really? A lot of these players who have returned from international duty are yet to probably play more than half an hour. Some of them have played 60 minutes. It's quite an uneven squad at the moment in terms of fitness and how many minutes those players have had in pre-season so far.
And I think that was the point Dean Smith made after the game on Saturday, that still very much... he called it a balance between getting players minutes, but also the fitness element. And you can see tonight with an Omobamidele, he needs to play a few minutes, building in from now, really, if he's going to be in consideration to start against Cardiff when it matters, July the 30th, the opening day of the Championship season. So it is a balancing act. But, you know, if we're looking for signposts to what Cardiff could look like, a Hanley-Omobamidele pairing, I know there's this sense that you've got two right-footers there, but that might not be a million miles away from Dean Smith's thinking for Cardiff if all the cards fall in terms of fitness and injuries between now and then. Max in at right back, that's an interesting one, but he, you know, irrespective of how his next few weeks pans out in terms of the transfer window, he needs to be playing games and getting minutes because he might still be here. You know, we can't say definitively at this stage of the transfer window that he won't be here, so, you know, he needs to play, and Yanulis similarly on the other flank as well. And you know, if it does get to Cardiff and Max Aarons is still available, then you probably start Max Aarons for me ahead of Sam Byram, and Yanulis would certainly seem to be ahead of Sam McCallum. So, and of course with Tim Krul, I know there's a healthy debate to be had about him or Angus now moving forward, but that tonight, that back four with the keeper might not be too far away from what it looks like against Cardiff. I think the midfield's interesting for me looking at that. You've got McLean, who clearly would seem to be a staple in a three because he does offer that defensive balance, but also that drive, which Dean Smith is clearly valuing in his midfield three. But another opportunity for Sinani tonight. And you know, I think we all heard Dean Smith's comments about Daniel Sinani's initial impact when he spoke after the game on Saturday. Really, really impressed him. And he's got another opportunity tonight. And if he takes it and shows again a few more positive signs, he's clearly in his thoughts for Cardiff. And of course, ahead of him, interesting one that Zolis plays as well. You know, from what we understand, that's probably a player who won't be part of it moving forward. But, you know, maybe you put him in the shop window tonight a little bit because you don't know who's watching these type of games, do you? So there's clues to maybe what it looks like for Norwich, but also maybe one or two signals for what it looks like for certain players moving forward who aren't going to be part of it. But just to reiterate what we were saying there before you came across me, I think Lise Malou is a knock, is what we were told. So nothing untoward there. Dowell, trying to remember now what we were told.
He's had a hernia op.
Yeah, that
should be back for Hibs.
That's right, yeah. So not ideal, of course, now to miss a chunk of pre-season. And Hayden, I'm sure Dean Smith will provide an update after today's game, but clearly we go from what he said on Saturday that he trained for the first week felt a little bit of soreness in his knee. They've basically rested him. So I'm sure by the time we get to catch up with Dean Smith after tonight's game, there'll be a full prognosis. And Dean Smith will bring us up to date with where Isaac Hayden fits in terms of moving forward. But that's the balancing act, isn't it? You don't, while wanting to push players and wanting to give players minutes and work on their fitness, the flip side is you're going to pick up an injury or two along the way. And what they don't really want to be going into the new season is having a lot of players out injured for any length of time, because it's not conducive to hitting the ground running and starting the season well, which they need to do, obviously.
Yeah, no Angus Gunn either in the squad. Archie Mayer, of course, who spent a season on loan here, didn't he, on the bench with Michael McGovern. So that's another interesting one, trying to look for other omissions, but I think we've got them all there. But again, I mean, we're kind of talking about pre-season. You always do. You try and look at what bits you can take or what players stand out. I mean, interestingly for me, it's that same system again, that 4-3-3 system that I think we spoke about a little bit at Deerham. He also went away and played it in that game against Jan Reisenberg on Friday and Saturday, and it's been deployed here again. So we are beginning, it feels like, to see a Dean Smith blueprint to what the season looks like now. And
of course, if it all goes to plan in the next hours and days ahead, there might be a certain Brazilian to drop into that mix as well. Who
Neymar?
Yeah, I was thinking more Ronaldinho, but coming out of retirement, who knows? But and that guy is, by all accounts, is 8 is his position. So clearly now I think we've seen enough evidence already at this stage of pre-season. Dean Smith wants to go with his system now. This is his preferred system, and that means that he needs midfielders, particularly in that area, those three who have the athleticism and the energy to get around the park and be good at the counter-pressing element of the game, but also that drive to break and break into the box and add goals and assists. And we're led to believe that a certain Gabriel Zara possesses that as well. So I'm looking at it already, and I'm seeing McLean, for me, subject to navigating what remains of pre-season without any injury or fitness issues. He starts, I think, in that 3. Zara may come in, but he won't be fit by all accounts in terms of the injury he's managing. So there's 2 spots up for grabs potentially in that 3 for Cardiff. And ahead of them, you could say the same. I think Pukki is a shoo-in as the central pivot in that attacking 3. But those wide areas, that is competitive. You've got, as it stands, Jolis, Sonani, more conceivably Johnny Rowe, and you've got to add Eder and Sargent to the mix. If he's going to go with this system, they have to be in contention for those wider attacking areas. So it looks like maybe through the spine there's a degree of certainty emerging in terms of what Dean Smith wants and the personnel who might fit. But either side, all the way through the pitch, really, from full-backs to the wider areas of midfield and then the wider areas up top either side of Pukki, all to play for, I think.
Yeah, no Adam Eder as well on the team sheet. So that's another name. I'm sure there's plenty others that people are shouting at us that we may have missed out, but it's pre-season and Norwich have a ginormous squad. So that's probably a formality that we're going to miss a couple out. I mean, we've spoken about this kind of defensive midfield role at Norwich for a long time. They obviously recruited Isaac Hayden, who has clearly got some fitness issues to contend with at this moment in time. What sort of opportunities does that present Jacob Sorensen at this moment? I mean, it feels like he's kind of been waiting for his chance at Norwich City. He's been played at left back, he's been played at centre back, countless positions. Here is a chance potentially for him running the team in a position that it feels like is probably his most natural.
Absolutely, yeah, and he must have craved this type of opportunity. An exposure to what he feels is his position, the position that Norwich went out and recruited him from Ebsburg, and his versatility has probably been to his detriment because he has been able to fill in at left back as it was in that Championship title winning season. But even last season, what do we see him in the Premier League? He's playing at centre back, in that game against Manchester United, and you have to feel a touch for him that he's never really had an opportunity in his preferred position to stake a claim. Well, the way this is opening up now, in terms of what Dean Smith wants from his players in that area of the pitch, and the options that seemingly may not be available for the rest of the pre-season, then unless he goes back into the market and maybe does more business in that area over and above the deal that looks set for Gabriel Zara, then there is an opportunity for Jacob Sorensen. And much like Daniel Sonani is impressed, he's come in, really put down a marker, obviously in training, and looks like a player Dean Smith, I'm sure, is looking at thinking he can be incorporated into the system I want. If Jacob Sorensen can show those similar attributes in his position on the pitch, then he's got an opportunity, because you look across that midfield in terms of what's available at the current, and bar McLean, I don't see too many other similar type of players. And if Dean Smith wants that type of player in there, yes, there's obviously a debate. You put Cantwell in there as well, as he has done in the first 2 pre-season games, and he gives you a little bit more on the ball in terms of creativity. But if the mix for Dean Smith in terms of those midfield three is maybe two more defensively minded, athletic, energetic types, then Jakob Sorensen has definitely got a shot. But he needs to take these type of opportunities because when he has had an opportunity, he hasn't really grasped it. I've never felt in central midfield. So yes, it's Kings Lynn. Yes, it's still relatively early in pre-season, but could be a big night for Jakob Sorensen.
Yeah, absolutely. No Sam Byram either on the team sheet as well. As Paddy's speaking, I'm trying to desperately rack my brains at who else isn't there. Sam Byram, another name missing. So we'll close off now, and I'll read you that starting 11 again. Tim Krul in goal, Max Aarons, Andrew Omaramadeli, Grant Hanley and Dimitris Giannoulis. A midfield three of Sorensen, McLean and Sinani, with Scholes and Hernandez either side of Timu Pukki. The subs bench, McGovern, Archie Mayer, Ben Gibson, Christoph Zimmerman, John Tompkinson, Sam McCallum, Liam Gibbs, Milo Rashica, Todd Cantwell, John Rowe, Tony Spriggett, Josh Sargent and Jordan Hugill. So that's Norwich City's 11 and subs for this evening's game at Kings Lynn Town. Of course, Pinken.com and the Pinken Plus app, the place to go for all the coverage of this evening's friendly. We'll, of course, bring you all the lines from Dean Smith afterwards, which will undoubtedly include some fitness lines, some transfer lines as well. So keep it locked for those. And if you're coming down, make sure you, I don't know if it's sun cream weather, but certainly sun hat weather. It's very warm, even if there is a little bit of rain in the air. And you can see the walk slowly filling up behind me with less than an hour to go until kickoff. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.